Standard 2.2. Find the value of 5 trig functions given the value of 1 trig function. All right, let's take a look at our example. We have secant of theta equals negative 7/3 and theta lies between pi and 2 pi. How are we going to find the value of the other 5 trig functions? Basically, we're looking for sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, and cosecant. All right, so given the fact that secant equals negative 7/3, and knowing that secant of theta is defined as r over x, we can determine that r is 7 and x is negative 3. How do we know the negative belongs to the x rather than the r? That is because r is always positive. All right, using this information, we can now find y. So we know that x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Substitute negative 3 for x and 7 for r and solve for y. So 9 plus y squared equals 49. Y squared equals 40. Y equals the square root of 40. Or if you choose to simplify, y equals 2 square root of 10. Now we have to decide if that value of y is positive or negative. So let's sketch a graph and see what's happening here. We know that our angle theta lies between pi and 2 pi, which means that it's not in quadrant 1 or quadrant 2. We also know that x is negative. If x is negative, it can't be in quadrant 4 because x is positive. So it lies in quadrant 3. And in quadrant 3, y is actually negative as well. So those values are negative. Now let's find the other 5 trig functions. So sine of theta is defined as y over r, which is negative 2 root 10 over 7. Cosecant of theta is the reciprocal r over y, so that's 7 over negative 2 root 10, which you could simplify. Tangent of theta is defined as y over x, and that would be negative 2 root 10 over negative 3, and that becomes positive, which makes sense because tangent is positive in quadrant 3. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, that's x over y. In this case, it's negative 3 over negative 2 root 10, which is 3 over 2 root 10. Or you could simplify that further by rationalizing. And cosine of theta is the reciprocal of secant of theta. So take secant theta and flip it. Or you can use the definition x over r, and that is negative 3/7. Let's take a look at a second example. So in this example, tangent is 5/12 and theta lies between 0 and pi. Tangent is defined as y over x, and in this case that means that y is 5 and x is 12. Also, we know that theta is between 0 and pi because x and y are both positive. It's not going to lie in quadrant 2. All right, let's find r first. So using our relationship, x squared plus y squared equals r squared, replace x with 12 and r with 5. And if you solve for r, you're going to get 13. Now let's use our definitions. So sine of theta is y over r, which is 5 over 13. Cosecant theta is the reciprocal, r over y, so 13 over 5. Cosine theta is defined as x over r, which is 12 over 13. Secant theta is the reciprocal of cosine, so that's 13 over 12. And finally, cotangent of theta is x over y, or the reciprocal of tangent, so 12 over 5. That's standard 2.2.